I have to admit, you know, I've never been to a reptile or snake expo before. I'm shocked at the amount of people that are here. What can you tell me about the popularity of this? I mean, I'm just in awe of the amount of the different types of people that are walking around. I see, you know, families with small children to, you know, the teenagers and, you know.
That's one of the great things about this hobby is it appeals to all age levels, all backgrounds, and you get to rub elbows with people of all different backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
And we all share this love of reptiles. And you often don't get just one. You keep coming back, you get the supplies, you're looking at the new types that are being bred. They share the passion and the hobby for it. And we get 2,000 to 3,000 people every time we come here, and we've actually outgrown. We started here at the Armory on the other side of the hotel, and it just got too crowded.
Wow.
We were turning away 30 to 50 vendors every show, and people just couldn't even get in to walk through the aisles. So about a year back, we moved into this room.
Now, you said your first show was in '99?
Yep.
And you do...
That's the first show here in New England. I've been doing them in New York since '91.
Oh, wow. See, because even this, I even see this as like, to me, it's kind of new.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've never really... Even when I was younger, I never knew anybody that had a snake or a reptile or anything like
the
that.
popularity really has exploded. I've seen some statistics from some of the pet lobby groups and all. They're estimating 10 to 15% of all households now have a pet reptile.
Wow.
Now, they're relatively low maintenance. You don't take a whole lot of room. You don't have to walk them several times a day like a dog or cat. There's certain things you have to provide for them to keep them healthy, but in terms of day-to-day amount of work, far less than most warm-blooded pets.
Really? See, now I would have thought they would have been more, because you got to worry about the temperature and the lights. And
well, there are certain things you have to provide for them. Temperature is critical, right diet, but in terms of the amount of work you're doing every day, most snakes eat once a week, if that.
Oh, really?
They eat once a week. They go to the bathroom once a week. You keep them warm. You have a place for them to hide, clean water.
See, I didn't even know that. I thought they ate like every day, like...
You know, and some reptiles are more work than others. You know, some of the lizards, you have to be giving them the crickets, you know, a couple times a week. You know, turtles, you have to change the water if it's an aquatic turtle. So those, it's a little bit more work, but again, compared to a dog, they have to walk several times a day. You know.
Right. You mentioned that you do classes and...
Yeah, the overall name of my company is Animal Encounters. We run the Reptile Expos, and then I do school programs, camps, scout troops, birthday parties. But that's based down in the New York area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're just north of New York City. So this is a little bit far for us to travel for those.
So I know you have another expo coming up in March, March 30th?
Saturday, March 30th. We'll be back here at the Radisson, and then we'll be back in October.
Oh, very good. Do you notice a big difference in the amount of people that it draws in between every show?
Steady growth. I mean, again, about a year and a half ago, we had to move out of the Armory room here at the hotel. We were just too crowded, both in terms of attendees as well as vendors. A lot of people get into reptiles, then start breeding them, and then they want to be able to market those animals, and then the frozen mousicles and the cages and everything else associated with it. So it seems to continue to grow.
And you mentioned that you saw a snake that sold for
$47,000.
$47,000.
That certainly is not what most of them go for,
right.
But you know, somebody who was the first person breeding a new unique color phase got that money for it.
So is that how they get the interesting colors, when some of them have a white patch and it's all
exactly. Just like with most pet animals, the breeders are trying to selectively breed for new and unusual colors, and that's what attracts the public. And many people who have reptiles have more than one because the space needs for, not all of them, but many of them is not that great. So even if you have an apartment, you can have several pet reptiles pretty easily.
Now, let's say someone's seeing this and they've thought maybe I kind of want to get a snake. What's a good beginner? Is there certain snakes that are good, or certain reptiles that are?
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Some are much harder than others. Horn snake is a snake species that I strongly recommend people start off with. Pretty colors, they don't get more than 3 to 4 feet long. They can live very easily in like a 20-gallon long fish tank with a screen top. You feed them once a week, keep them warm. They're relatively low maintenance, generally quite docile. Great starter snake. I don't recommend people get, say, a baby Burmese python or something like that, because then you talk about something that gets big, and you need to be prepared. Just like with any pet, you got to research it first. Don't get the animal and then try to figure out how big it's going to get.
Right. Well, I want to thank you for taking a couple minutes to talk to us. I know you're very busy. I wish you nothing but success.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
All right, I'm here with Kerry from the Andover Animal Hospital. That's it. And do you see a lot of reptiles come through there?
We do. We see a fair bit. Mostly, like snakes, bearded dragons, leopard geckos, and a lot of iguanas, things like that. Do get the occasional like turtles, birds, and the occasional fish, but we usually see quite a bit.
Now, how do you feel about these expos? I mean, there's a wide variety of people that buy them, but you see a lot of young kids buying them, and to me, they seem like they have a lot of upkeep.
Yep. And it's a lot of things that some people don't realize how much is actually involved. You hear a lot of different information depending on where you buy them from, but a lot of the kids don't understand, what really is involved in taking care of them. So you see a lot of issues when they come in.
So someone should really think someone should really think a lot about it before they do it, because there is a lot of hidden things.
Yep.
It's probably not the best for a young.
No, because it's a lot of expensive lighting, minerals, different, like sometimes they need to eat mice or rats, things like that. And a lot of people don't realize they should probably take them in, get a checkup, see how they're doing, and make sure there's no like parasites or anything like that. Which a lot of people don't realize with kids, they can get them.
The ones that you see in the hospital, are they pretty much cared for, or are they more like people trying to maybe pass them along to somebody else, looking for a venue to maybe?
They're usually pretty well taken care of. Just some people doing the wrong things, but they're trying. Like you get a lot of misinformation that gets spread around. But usually they're really trying to do the right thing.
Is there any one thing that you could say to anybody that was thinking about maybe getting a snake or a reptile for the first time, other than really think it through? Is there any other piece of advice you can give?
Do your research. Start out with a more like hardy reptile. Like don't get a chameleon, don't get a water dragon, and probably don't get an iguana. They're really difficult and not a first-time pet.
Right.
Start with something easy like a ball python or like a bearded dragon. Those are usually a little bit easier to take care of.
Okay, well thank you very much for taking a couple minutes.
No problem, thanks.
Hi, I'm here with Lisa and Eric from PS Pythons / Dream Catching Geckos, but that's just their hobby. What can you tell me about the gecko that you're holding?
This is called an eyelash crested gecko. Up until 1994 they were actually extinct, or thought to be extinct, obviously not extinct. They were rediscovered back in 1994. Originally they thought they were tailless geckos because all the adults they found had no tails. It's one of the very few geckos that if it does lose its tail, it won't grow back. But they obviously have a tail. They are a fruit-eating gecko. They eat a powder that you mix with water. It's a meal replacement diet. Very easy to take care of gecko, probably the best gecko for a first-time reptile owner. They don't need special heating requirements, don't need special lighting requirements. They don't need bugs if you don't want to do bugs. I'm not a fan of bugs, so that's why I started with crested geckos. They come in pretty much every color. Even though at the reptile show or a lot of places people go, oh, the Geico gecko. This is a different type of gecko. The Geico gecko is a day gecko. This is not. Come from different places. They're arboreal geckos, which means they like to climb. And and they can walk on glass. Pretty much walk on any surface.
And I noticed he's also quite a jumper.
Yes. The babies are a little bit more jumpy. The adults do calm down more. But you have to say this guy's been in a deli cup for quite a few hours. So she's a little angry right now. This is Angry Gecko.
Now what's the lifespan on?
They can live, it's estimated up to 30 years. Because it's been so relatively new discovered that there really is no significant data on lifespan, but some of the ones that they originally found are still around. So, long time. They live for a very long time.
And now Eric here has my biggest fear, snakes.
Does that mean you're going to hold it?
No. What can you tell me about?
This right here is a ball python. Ball pythons are the most common pet snake in households today, just because of the fact that they're super easy to take care of. And they stay relatively small for pythons. They're not the big, 10, 15 footers that are being found, These guys max out at about 4.5 feet for a female, about 3.5 for a male. Eat once a week and you clean them once a week. That's what makes them so great for pets. They don't need a ton of, work. They can be kept in something as elaborate as a 150-gallon tank. You can start them in something as basic as a little sweater box. All my babies are raised up in little shoe boxes, essentially. Once they get bigger, obviously, so does the home size. But the only special requirement they need is with most reptiles is just heating. You want to keep these guys, have a hot spot around 88 to 90 degrees and an ambient air temperature about 70 degrees on the cold side. If you're getting your hot spot at 90 degrees, you're perfect, because they can thermoregulate as hot as they want to get by resting on the 90-degree hot spot, or they can go away and just relax in the cold end. They're really not that picky. They can be finicky eaters though. That's the only downfall. These guys are all started right here on small rats, baby rats, and then once they get bigger, they go up to a smaller medium rat.
Now, do they bite?
I hate that question only because it's like asking if dogs bite.
Let me rephrase that. Handled it properly, or maybe not cared for as well, does that make them more? A hungrier snake can bite more. For the most part, they're not going to bite humans because they know they can't eat us. They'll bluff. They'll look like they're striking at you, but not open their mouth. They're just bluffing. They certainly have the ability, but they're not prone to biting at all. Ball pythons are one of those that are known to be less bitey. Even some of the wild caught ones, out in Africa, are handleable, just like what we've got. They can be a little flighty at first, but they calm right down. They're super laid back. Now, do all snakes shed their skin?
Yes. They're going to shed. Basically, it's like us. Our skin flakes off. These guys, instead, it all comes off in one sheet. Starts from the head, works the way back. So every one of them is going to shed their skin. The babies shed about once a month, and the adults can go, every couple of months to once a year, depending on how large they are.
Now, you said he eats mice?
Rats. Well, mine eat rats. They can eat mice, rats, you name it, rodents. But these guys all get fed a diet of rats once a week.
I have to admit, it's a good-looking snake. I mean, its colors are awesome. There's a part of me that really does want to hold it, but there's another part.
We can make that happen. And I'll be honest, I know what it's like, because I never liked spiders. And that was the only thing I could do to get over the spider fear, was just hold it.
All right, I'll try it.
Yes.
What do I got to do?
Literally, hand out, that's all it's going to take. She's pretty laid back too, so you don't have to worry she won't bite. But they call them a ball python because generally they're going to ball up out of fear.
Yeah.
This guy's obviously not scared, so how about you?
I'm actually a little bit surprised at what it actually feels like.
Not what people think.
It feels like the foam that you would put on your pipes in your house. It's actually very soft. I'm actually surprised. It's not really what I was expecting at all.
Yeah.
actually amazed. I really am.
Yeah.
It's really not what I was expecting. And I get it, you know, the colors are awesome. I mean,
yeah, this pattern is what they call a Mojave ball python. It's just a different genetic mutation of ball python.
now, is this like any other kind of pet that you could have a mixed breed, or?
You actually can. A lot of people do mixed breed the ball pythons with other species of python. Some people out there are completely against it. They're more purists. They want ball pythons, only ball pythons. But I've seen them mixed with Angolan pythons, with blood pythons, and even Burmese, the big 15-footers. So they can be, but most people don't.
But this is just a regular.
Yeah, this is just a ball python. Yeah.
Now you were saying that this is what, a Mojave?
Yeah, this is a Mojave pattern.
How many different patents do they have for? Is it?
5 or 6 years ago, they said around 60 plus. Now, with everything that's coming out of Africa, I've got no doubt saying it's in the 70s, 80s, or more. And that's just single gene based mutations. That's not talking crossbreeding, you know, this mutation to another one. You know, some of them have 4 or 5 traits in them. You know, so there's a whole lot out there.
I'm actually very surprised. Not what I was expecting. It's actually very nice.
Yeah.
Especially that its face is pointing away from me. But no, beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to thank you guys. I'm here with Chris from Sabrina's Reptile Kingdom from Rhode Island. Chris, thanks for taking a couple of minutes. No problem. What do you got?
We have a Viculera versicolor tarantula here. This is a sub-adult female. At full size, she's going to be about 5 inches. She's a New World species. So she comes from the Americas. When these guys are babies, they're actually a bright, bright sapphire blue. And they change into these beautiful greens and oranges and reds.
Now, was that a little bit of blue left on her back?
That's actually where she rubbed her leg to shoot little hairs. They call it irritating. So their defense mechanism, instead of biting, is actually shooting hairs. It's like almost like fiberglass if it gets into your skin or eyes.
How old is that one?
This one's a little over a year old.
And how long did it last? Live for?
Depending on males and females in different subspecies, most tarantulas can live anywhere from 5 to 15 years.
Now, is a tarantula a good beginner insect for somebody, or should that be more someone who's used to caring for?
If you start off with the right species, tarantulas do make good pets. You start off with any of the Viculeras, it's about 27 different subspecies. This is one of the most popular ones and most sought after because they're absolutely beautiful. And all tarantulas and scorpions are venomous. If you're allergic to bees, you don't want to get bit because you could have a bad reaction. If you're not allergic to bees, you could still have a bad reaction to it.
Now, what do they eat?
Crickets, mealworms, cockroaches. Some of the bigger ones will eat a mouse, but it's not generally a staple diet for them.
Now, I noticed the container that you took her out of had quite a bit of web in there.
Yes, they do like the web and hang out on the canopy.
Very nice.
Want to hold her?
Yeah, sure.
Just put your hand right in front of that.
Wow, very
not
soft.
Like you thought, was it?
Very soft, very light. I mean, yeah.
Not even close to what you expected.
No, it's very nice. And how about breeding? Can you breed them?
They can, yep.
Very
And
nice.
with tarantulas, it's like the black widow syndrome. The female can kill the male even before breeding.
Talk about a lousy first date.
Yep.
Now the feet feel just like a pipe cleaner, or
Yeah, and they're actually, the arboreals actually have little hooks on the end of their feet for climbing.
Now, do you have anything else interesting that you can talk about with us?
Yep. me just put this girl away. This is a ball python. It's actually not normal color. It's considered a morph. It's actually two different morphs put together to make a blue-eyed Lucy, or it's also called a super lesser. There's two lesser ball pythons were bred together to produce this animal. If you get a close-up of its eye, it's actually beautiful.
Now that's not considered like an albino?
No, an albino will actually have yellow in it. Leucistic is lack of all pigment, which gives you the white. Albino actually leaves like an orange yellow behind.
And a ball python is a good beginner snake?
It's not one of the best beginner snakes. Your colubrids, your corn snakes, your king snakes actually make better beginner snakes if no one's ever owned a reptile. Ball pythons can be fussy as babies when you try to feed them. If their temperatures ain't perfect, if their enclosures are not set up perfect, they can be fussy eaters. With colubrids, colubrids are generally easier. They need lower temperatures, easier maintenance. Ball pythons max out about 4 to 5 feet.
They eat mice?
Mice or rats. And a cool fun fact about reptiles is they never stop growing. So if this happened to live 100 years, which it wouldn't, it would get bigger than the average size.
And how long does it live for?
They average about 10 to 15 years. And they're not slimy.
No, I overcame my fear over there, but I don't need to repeat it. I held a python over there. You want? The other gentleman, step right up. Now, when that sheds its skin, does it come off as white as that? Or?
It'll look just as normal as a regular shed skin.
You're like a professional artist.
I like it. It's so cute. No. Well, this one doesn't have more than, it doesn't have legs. It's fine.
Eric, you did one of the ways to go, Ken.
What? It's fine.
Oh, you did good.
Hi.
This right here is a lesser ball python. When you breed this to another lesser, it'll make that snake right there. Huh? You want to see the tortoise? This is a leopard tortoise. They make excellent pets if you have the room to take care of them when they're adults. It's not one of the largest tortoises. It's about a mid-sized tortoise. It's going to need its own room when it's an adult. This little guy right here is a couple years old. Still got a lot of growing to do. And as of any tortoise, you have to leave it into your will and your grandkids, because they can live at least 100 years old.
Now, how big will he get if you full grown?
These guys get around 18, 20 inches.
And what do they eat?
They eat dark leafy greens. Collard greens, mustard greens, dandelion greens, early greens.
So that's a perfect pet for someone who wants a reptile.
And does not want to feed it mice, yes.
Or bugs.
Yes.
Now, what would ever happen if something happened to its shell?
Depending on what happened to it, if it actually, someone dropped it and it cracked it, they can put different epoxies that are medical grade on it to hold it together so everything heals.
Oh, really?
Where they actually do surgeries where they'll cut a section out and put it back in. And this little guy right here was on Brian from BHB's Snake Bites TV last week.
I love the design of the shell.
Oh, they're beautiful. Now he's bobbing his head.
Now this might sound like a stupid question, but do they have a layer of skin between them and the shell, or is the shell?
Yeah, they actually, their skin's actually, you can see it's all connected to the shell. You can't just pull them out of the shell.
No, but
it's all connected, yes. Yep.
Even the bottom one, get a shot of the bottom.
He's probably going to pee on us any second. It's actually their exoskeleton.
Very awesome. Well, I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us. So tell me, Des, what's a nice girl like you doing in a place like this, holding something like that?
Teaching the next generation about the passion.
So what is that?
This Tannen is a black throat monitor. She's only 18 months old. She comes from Africa. And when she's done growing, she's going to be about 6 feet long and about 30-35 pounds. She's like my house cat. She's litter box trained, she's leash trained.
So she's not for sale, she is a pet.
She is a pet. She's also part of our educational program.
Let's talk about that.
Our educational program reaches out to elderly homes, daycare centers, and local schools in order to teach the next generation about our passion, because without the next generation, we're not going to go anywhere.
Right. So, what does she eat?
A little bit of everything. She likes poultry and eggs. She's also on a crocodilian diet that's developed for zoos. It's kind of like a dog food that she eats.
And how does she like her eggs?
Oh, she loves them hard-boiled. She'll swallow them whole.
Really?
Shell and all.
So what kind is she?
She's a black throat monitor.
Black throat monitor.
You can see underneath her throat. Oh, yeah. It's nice and black.
So how old is she?
She's 18 months old.
18 months old?
Yep, she was about this big when I first got her.
And how long is her lifespan?
About 20 to 25 years.
So she's going to be with you for a while?
Oh yeah, I hope so.
So, do they have any interesting traits or?
These guys are really smart. They're known to actually imprint to their owners. You know how different types of dogs, they'll either be family dogs or they'll be one-person dogs?
Yeah.
These are one-person monitors. They can actually smell their owners. And I've seen black throats actually...
And lick their faces?
Yeah, flock back to their owners when they're nervous. Even in a crowd, they'll go right back to their owners. They've also been tested, they can count up to 6. They're extremely smart monitors.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah.
Now, with the way she's crawling behind you, is that a fair thing? Or?
It's a little nerve. She's still a baby, so she's not used to such a big crowd, but she's doing really well today.
It's cool looking. I mean, so what got you into this?
Actually, I walked into a pet store and I said, I need a pet to keep in my dorm room. And they sent me out with a black and white tegu, which gets about 4 feet and about 7 pounds. And I kept that. I hid that at my military college for 2 years. And then I moved to the area and jumped right into the business. And I went to school for nursing too, so it's definitely an acquired hobby.
Are they fast?
They can be very fast, but only in short spurts. Their muscles work differently than ours do, so they wear out over time, then they have to stop and warm up again.
Now, is that something that their tails pop off when they...
Not these guys. These guys generally keep their tails. They use them as a weapon.
Yeah.
Very powerful.
I wondered, you know, like the kind that have the tails that pop off if you grab them.
Yep.
What does it look like when it pops off?
It's a little stump. It's actually, they're developed to totally sever the blood vessels right there. So it's just a little stump, and some of them grow back and some of them don't. But most of them will grow back, but they'll never grow back the same. If you guys saw Shaq over there, the black and white tegu, he has an all black tail. That's because he dropped it and it grows back in a dipstick form.
Very nice. Would you like to give out your contact information for the education?
Dave's Dragons is right in Manchester. The The telephone number is 660-2120, and we can be contacts either there or at sales@davesdragons.com or tegulady@davesdragons.com.
Well, thank you very much.
No problem.